Welcome to the Saltcorn office hours. Halloween edition. I hope you guys are having fun. I spent an unreasonable amount of time decorating my office. Should we turn off the music? I think we might go better without the music. Okay, let's get serious about this. So, we're not only in festive season because we're in. I guess this isn't really the festive season, but we do have something to celebrate. We have just released 1.4.0, which is, for me, of course, we all say that they're special, right? Everyone is special, but for me, I will explain why in a second, why it sort of felt somewhat special to release that. Then I am going to go through some of the things that we've been working on recently. And I'm just remembering now that I forgot to bring up the window for this. So let me just get that up so I can see what people are asking. Where are we? I just want to pop this out. Oh no, I can't. Why can't? See, this is, I'm always like, pop out chat. There we go. Okay, now I can see what people are talking about. And I have some questions. Feel free to, come chime in with your own questions. I will try to prioritize the questions that come up during the live stream, with people who are live. But I actually have a lot of questions offline that I know that people will also be waiting for. Mike, great to see you as always. And I hope, I don't know how many people are watching this, but a lot of people will watch it afterwards. So let's get started. Okay, so now, so let me start by showing you some of the things we've been working on. And let me talk about the 1.4 release. Where do I go to show you that? Let's go to the GitHub. Ah, I'm not logged in here. Oh, it doesn't really matter that I'm not logged in, because you just see the same as everyone else. Okay, so we have just released. Where can I show this? Ah, no, I know a much better place to show this on the blog. So there we go. So we have just released 1.4. It was last Friday, that I hit the big release button, and oh, sorry, I'm actually not showing this screen. There we go. So last Friday I hit the big release button, so that's a week ago, and this feature, this release contains a number of improvements, but the most substantial and the one that we really did spend a lot of time on and going back and forth with the during this development phase was the real-time collaboration. And I think I have shown this on office hours before. Do I have one that I can show? Maybe I have like a neat little thing with progress bars that I can show. I can't remember if I showed you the progress bars last time. Do I have something here? Let's just log in here and see what workflows I have ready. No, not really. Oh yeah, this one would be a bit of a letdown, but let's do it anyways. Okay, let's log in. Oops. So just to show the kind of things that, so let's say you have a workflow here, let's say you have a workflow, and this is just a workflow that's sending progress out and it's sleeping in between progress bars. But let's say you have some long-running either workflow or script that's doing something like maybe it's fetching something, interacting with some APIs, maybe it's doing expensive calculations or whatever. Then now the kind of thing you can do is you can send progress, right? So these are the sort of things, but there's lots of different things that we have done where you can send directives to the user during workflow runs or during script calculations. So that was definitely a big and we also have a facility where views can decide to be sort of interactive and to use the real-time collaboration. So we did that. I've shown this as well in these office hours with editing and stuff. I can't remember if I ended up showing it with the agent, but we have the agent here now streaming. This is asking it what is the meaning of life and telling it to talk like a pirate. So this is the pirate meaning of life, at least according to whatever model is doing this, probably OpenAI, GPT-5. So, these are the sort of things that we spent a lot of time working on. What else? Oh, so then the other thing that's big in this release, and actually that has continued a little bit since that, is this work on list filters, list header filters. And it's quite a nice facility. So you can get it in different forms now, and we now have a new one. So the idea is that you basically, you filter here. You filter here on what you see. So if you have a lot of rows, that really helps. Like if you have thousands or millions of rows even, that you're limiting what you're looking at. And so this comes in two different variants now. Well, three different variants actually. You can have it always open, or you can have these toggleable. Toggleable ones are nice. I think always open is a bit much. But if you turn that off, and if you turn on the drop-down header filter, then instead now they come here and it doesn't actually look that great on this theme, but here again, you can, and then it's sort of filled in here to show you that that's filtered. So actually what happened was that these bars would cause, let me show you what the problem was. So a problem here was that you see how it's jumping as I'm opening it. The position of the buttons is jumping. So you see how the delete button is kind of jumping sideways because it's very difficult to control the width of these inputs that give the limit. So this is the limit in the pages for this book, and this is an integer field, and therefore it has two has a lower limit and an upper limit in the header filter, and that just becomes very difficult to control the width of this in a general way. I mean, I could make some specific rules, but then it breaks down for some use cases. So then if you have that problem and if that bothers you, switch to this drop down where the filters are activated instead by opening a drop down, and then it doesn't disturb the table. All right, so just getting this right and getting it always working and is something that we spent a fair amount of time on. At least I've actually spent a lot of my time on this. The other thing is quite nice here is that let me see, somebody's at the door. Let's see here. So this is actually what I've got here is actually a view link. But I can filter on that as well. Okay, so we've got some trick and treaters, I think, but I'm not quite sure what. I don't have to deal with trick and treaters this year, which is great. Yes, it is trick and treaters. Okay, I'm missing out on all the Halloween fun, but I get to be here with you. Okay, great. So that is one thing that's been going on here. Another thing that I just want to draw your attention to is there's some stuff that Gerard has been working on. This is here in the user settings. So now you can have multiple API tokens. So that is important. Let me just explain why that's so important. Because if you only have one token, it's difficult to cycle them. So we have a use case where we're using this API quite a lot. There is actually a question I know that somebody once answered on this office hours about. Actually, that's the API. That's using the API going out, not in. So let me just let me not get distracted with that. But the reason why you want multiple API tokens is so you can cycle them. So you can log in, you can send information to a device or let a device receive information, including that it needs to use a new token. And that way you can sort of have two tokens that work concurrently. And then, after a week, you remove the old one and then you add a new one. So that just helps you to cycle those. So this is important for some use cases. Lowbolt, hey, good to see you, and do let me know if you have any questions. Okay, that was API tokens. In terms of the this recording facility that I've been talking a lot about the last 3 issues, I think just mainly we've been ironing out some of the problems there, and it's working a lot more smoothly. I think the last time I showed you that it didn't work on a particular use case, but now that's much better. And I basically need to sit down and create a bunch of these recording tests, and sort of make sure that it works in all cases. There was, as part of the 1.4 release, there was some tightening of the security. Can I show you what the issue was? It was actually really important. Yeah. Okay, so this. Okay, so what's going on is when you are serving HTML, I can't see if I created this, so probably I created this. Let me just try here. I'm in a different browser. I just want to see if I can become another user. And then I'll explain what the problem is if I can reproduce it. It's really important, and actually also really interesting use case, really interesting sort of security issue. Yeah, okay. So what's going on? I can show you here. So what we've got here is an HTML page. It's actually a clever way that somebody found. You can read all about it in the changelog, and it's also in the changelog it's noted as a security issue. Let me just, before I ramble on here, let me show you where that is, because people may not know. It's inside the app, but you can also see it. I'm sorry, that was the security. Changelog is here, right? So you can see this inside the app. So it's all down here and described here. So it was actually really interesting for me, and I'm really happy that somebody found this. So here's what can happen. Where am I now? Okay, so let's say you have an HTML page, and somebody has uploaded this page, right? Now, what can happen is that if you just allow that page somehow to be served to your users, and if you let a user control this, that page can execute JavaScript, which has access to the user's cookie, essentially. And that means they can do session hijacking. So that means that if, under certain circumstances, if you had like an open upload facility where you hadn't restricted the roles for what for what files could be uploaded and what the access roles on those files were, then if you could if you could upload an HTML page, and if you could essentially send this link or the equivalent of it for your file name, if you could send that to somebody else and trick them into clicking on it, then you could run arbitrary JavaScript that could steal your cookie and send that to somewhere else, right? To a server somewhere else. So now what we've done is this file was created by me. It doesn't actually show me, but it was created by this user. And in that case, it's fine. It's safe because I created it. I want to be able to upload it. And we needed that, as we found out, because we managed to break the PDF generation as part of dealing with this, which is now, so if you're using PDF, you need to upgrade. Either you need to stay on an old Saltcorn and the old PDF generating module, or you need to upload, or you need to update both Saltcorn and the PDF generating module to the latest. You essentially, if you're running 1.4.0, you need to run the latest PDF generation module. Okay, so now if we just remember this link, so what we did was, if I am a different user, so if I just become a different user, let me just become this. Let me just become this user. So now I'm that user, and now if I enter the link, maybe it was that user. Why is this not? This is not really working. Why is that not working? Wait, which user am I here? Let me just get this straight. Okay, so if I'm the staff. So if I become the staff user, and I now load that. Huh, that's interesting. So Firefox, again, this is a Firefox problem. I've got it running in Chrome here, and it's showing me the raw HTML, but Firefox does not respect that. So actually, I guess it's good that I tested this on Firefox. So we need to deal with it on Firefox in a different way. So in Chrome, you're protected, but it seems that Firefox does not respect the MIME type that it's sent with. So that's a little bit embarrassing, but good that I found that out. So on Chrome, I can't really switch. It's a bit of a shame. I can't really switch. Maybe I should have two scenes so I can switch to a different browser. That could be good, actually. Okay. Anyways, I will deal with that. So this was a very long-winded way of saying you need to upgrade to the latest PDF module. The other thing that Gerard did, we talked a little bit about. Do I have modules? What do I have here? We talked a little bit about how to upload CSVs. We actually created a view for that. And CSV import. So that was somebody at the last office hours. Somebody asked this, and I said, you had to create a workflow and stuff. But now we've created a view that allows the user to upload a CSV file that we didn't have before. So it's just a simple view that you create. So that's good. Okay, great. I think that sort of roughly covers the last things that we've talked about, that we've done. And I guess I can now move on to deal with some of these questions that have come in. So let me see first. There was one on the Discord. And let me just remind me of what that is. Oh yeah, so that question is about how to use the API, how to interact with APIs, essentially. And I'm gonna spend a little bit of time doing a demo around that. No, I just messed up again my chat. Let me just get that out again. Okay, great. I'm all set. Okay, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time, because somebody asked for it on the Discord, I'll spend a little bit of time talking about how to make outbound API calls. And they have a specific use case, and I'll walk through that. So what this is DevGIU on Discord is asking this. What they want to do is to make an outbound API call to retrieve a token, and then they want to use that token in the API for the to make another request to some resource that requires some kind of token. So I'll show you how to do it in a workflow, because it's a multi-step sort of process. We need to send data from one step of the workflow to another, we need to do that in a workflow. We have these multi-step forms, multi-step actions, but you can't really pass data between the steps, so it's a bit more limited. The other way we could do it is with a script. Now, if I personally were to write an application, I probably would write a script, although I'm actually getting better. I'm starting to use workflows a little bit more. When I have a choice between workflows and scripts, sometimes I actually find that workflows are easier to deal with. So they kind of seem to be working. But in any case, it's meant to be a no-code tool, and we should be doing it with workflows, and we should be helping people who don't have the skills, maybe not have the skills yet, to do these tasks. So let's do a workflow. So I'll call it API call workflow. And so I don't know how you're going to trigger it. Maybe it's run every night. Maybe it's triggered from a button or whatever. I don't know, but I'm just going to test it here. Okay, so to do an API call, you need to use the step called webhook. It doesn't necessarily have the best name. But I hope in the description it's clear that this is making an outbound HTTP or HTTPS request. Okay, and the key here is that you need to fill in these parameters here, and here you can use interpolations. I'm sorry I didn't write that, but you can. So I don't really have a good example of an external API that matches that what the person wants to do where we're acquiring a token, but let's do something else instead, something that's similar. So I'll just do something that's slightly analogous and is maybe useful for something else, and we'll show you the sort of patterns that we do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, first of all, you have to set the method. You do need to know about this, what HTTP methods are and stuff. So, but you can read about that on Wikipedia and stuff. There's get and there's post and there's a couple of other ones that we rarely use. So let me go to the BBC News website. And what I'm going to try to do is, I'm just going to make sure I have the right, do I have the right, the right URL. So I'm going to show you sort of a two-step process. I hope this is going to work, by the way. I just made this up. Okay, so we're going to put get body. Okay. Right, so now we're making a request to the BBC News news web page, okay? So let's just, when I do this, I always just make a step and then run it and then see what happens. I'm kind of an empirical person like that. So let's just do this. Okay, so now we have a workflow, and in that workflow you have the context, and that context has, a variable called getBody. And it has all of this stuff here, right? Do you want to see what that looks like right now? Now I'm searching here. Okay, so this is, what's going on right now in the UK. This is all about the UK, almost always. All right, there's a lot of stuff going on about Prince Andrew, who's no longer a prince. So here I've got a workflow now, and I've got the body of the web page representing the current state of the UK in a variable. Now, what I want to do is I want to try and figure out what the main headline is. So actually, I'm just gonna, what I want. Okay, here's what I'm trying to do, because I want to do something that's a bit analogous to what the person is asking, and I want to try and find the H1 if there is an H1, and then I want to sort of make a Google search about this. Unfortunately, now there isn't an H1. Is that right? Wait, how does it? These things have just become way too fancy. What are these all H3s? This is also an H3. There's no H1. Maybe we should find a different news source. What do we know? Let's try something else than the BBC. Let's try CNN. Okay. Alright, I guess the rest of the world knows that Prince Andrew is not a prince anymore. I just want something that has a good old H1. And now I can't even read this because of the ad. See, that's what's nice about the BBC is that it doesn't have a headline. It doesn't have ads. Okay, so I want to see if that's an H1. That's an H2. Great. Okay, well, we're just going to search for H2s then. Okay, so let's do this instead. So I think this is still a little bit nicer in its structure. Okay, so I'm going... Okay. Okay. So we're going to go to... Oops. Okay, we're going to get this. Okay. So that's it. And now... First, now I'm going to try and extract. You may not need to do this when you're trying to get your API token stuff, but I am going to try to extract that. And how do I do that? Now I need a... Okay, I'm just going to quickly cheat and Google. And regex... okay. I won't cheat that much. I'll show you how much I'm cheating. Extract H1 from HTML. Okay, so this is how... Oh no, now we're going to the bubble web page. That's not good. Okay, so if they have the regex... Okay, let's try this. We're going to try this. Okay, so so it's H2. Let's call it headline. Oops. Get body was the name of the variable. Dot match. And now we have our regex here. And I want the H2. Okay. H2. And here I want the H2 again. All right. And now, okay, we can just try and run this and see what comes in headline. For regex you need these. Invalid regular expression flag H. Let me try and go back to the original one that the person had. Okay, so why is this not a good regex? Okay, I think searching randomly for bubble is probably not a good idea. So you want to get something that works for JavaScript. So that's exactly what we want to do. Oh, they're not doing it with... They're not doing it with regexes. Ah. Okay, let's try that. I know that I need to modify that a little bit. This regex is actually a bit of a pain. Maybe we should make like a little action to make this easier. So here, see which one is it that's complaining. Okay, so it's that one it's complaining about. Maybe I need that. No, I can't seem to get the right regex. Anyways, okay. All right, I'm just gonna have to like pretend here because I can't get the right regex to express this. I'm just really not very good with this.
There's people at the door. Oh, sorry.
No, okay, I give up. I'm just gonna take like the first. I'm gonna take the first 10 characters. Dead body. Okay. Okay, wait. What's going on here? Oh, this is I'm getting these. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Just hang on a second. Okay, let's see. I'm not doing well here. Let's see here. What can we do here? This is very slow. I think it's a large page. Sorry. Where was I? Was it a workflow test? No, it was API call workflow test. And maybe I will go back to, ideally we have something simple. I think the page is quite large. That's a problem. So let me do something instead, like, I know this is quite a small page. And this, and again, maybe I'm not using the right thing here, substring. Okay, so I think, let's try and run this. I spelled that wrong. Where's the use? Okay, so there we go. Now we got that. And here we got the headline is, I got this wrong. I got that syntax wrong, but we're on the right track here. So let's say that I want the first. I'm just trying to like extract the string from like some. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is gonna have to do as an example. So I'm just extracting some string from a request. Okay, that took longer because I was trying to do the regex. I guess you can't really. It's probably true. You should be using something else if you want to extract information from HTML. You shouldn't be using regexes. You should be doing the HTML parsing and all. So here we go. We're just doing something like a gimmick to extract a string from an HTML request. Okay, so now I can continue. I've got that headline. It's my mock headline, and now essentially what this is asking for is to do another request, but where I where I use that part of information that has been extracted. Now I'll explain how it works in how it'll work if it's the token. Okay, so now let's say you have your token somehow. You've extracted it somehow using that some kind of set context or some kind of extraction from your request, or maybe you know it just came directly. And now, if that were your token, you would use it here, but now you use the interpolations, right? So this is how you, whenever in workflows you're asked for a string, usually you can reach into the context and extract something with it, with this interpolation, with these double, are they called mustache handlebars, something like that? Handlebars, I think. Yeah, handlebars is the right term. And you can access a variable that's in the context. So you do something like this, right? Instead, since we don't have this, let me try if I can figure out how to do a Google. Let me do something else instead. I'll do a Google request. So if I do Google, is there something that you used to be able to do, like, yeah. So we just do that instead, because I'm not, in my example, what I really wanted to do was I wanted to try to get the headline out of the current largest headline in a news site, and then I wanted to do a Google search that used that. But we'll do something like that, right? So I'm in my example here, I'm doing that. You know, if you're not using the authorization header, and then we do a get here. Oh, but you do whatever you want, right? And if you're using the API, you probably want to send some post here with a post body. And so there you go. That's what you do. Okay. So let's try this. All right, let's try and run this. And I'm getting all these. I want to do something else. I want to get. Yeah, I just want to do that so I don't get this. Hopefully I won't get this response. We saw this on another project, so I may just need to look at that. Okay, I don't want to save the runs for each step. Okay, let's go. Let's try this. It's still sending it over here. Okay, so we get the Google response. This is the response from Google. So there you go. Now I've done two requests, and you know, we've done a secondary request using information from the second. Mike is telling me, okay, should I try this? I just can't. I find it very difficult to sort of, when something isn't working, I keep on banging my head against the wall until it works. Let's try this. Mike says we should try this. No, Mike is saying that Claude is saying we should try this. Ah, that actually works. Huh. Very good. We've got somebody you can use. And okay, let's try that then. We've got somebody who can use Claude. I thought Claude wasn't working today. Maybe it's up and running again. So now I actually do want to see that step. Okay, let's then. So what did I say? HBB. Oh, this has. Let's just see what this has. So let's see what this has in terms of headers. No, it doesn't have headers. Okay, maybe we'll go back to I really should be moving on to the other questions. Okay. And they had H3s, right? Yeah, okay. Let's do it. Let's run it, see what happens. So here we've got the headlines from the BBC. But they have a lot of stuff inside them, so you'd have to, like, there's not a very sort of canonically structured web page. But that's this one. But then you'd actually have to, yeah, you'd have to go in and remove the other tags inside. Anyways, that's definitely beyond the question of what is was asked here. I think I'm going to move on. So hopefully you've you've seen how to make one request using information from a previous request. Okay, so then I have a bunch of questions on email. By the way, those of you who are live, feel free to ask your own things. Now, let's see here. So a bunch of questions from Yisrael Weingarten. And let me see, what can I say here? Okay, so the first one, which may be the only one I have time for. Best way to include multiple files per row and have the name automatically changed based on another field in the row with an option to delete each file individually. Okay, let's do that. So let's say you have some data that has am I getting that? Some rows, and we want files associated with them. Okay, so let's say I have this database of books, right? And now I want multiple files to be associated with each book. So what's the best way of doing that? So this is a question that comes up a lot, and it's about how do we deal with multiple rows of information for each for a field, right? So you have some field and you want multiple pieces of information, and the answer is that in Saltcorn you always have to create another table with inbound relations. I realize this seems like more work, but it will be good for you in the long term. The reason is that on the relational model, this is the way you do it. You never, in the relational model, in the proper relational model that relational databases are based on, you never have more than one value per field, okay? There are some exceptions. You can have arrays, JSON, but those are considered deviations from the relational model, and some people won't use them at all. The proper canonical way of doing this is to create another table. And look, it doesn't take very long in Saltcorn. It's quick. And that's just what you have to do. I know that some other build tools, some other database tools, not mentioning any names, will have multi-value fields. And I have to say, in a way, I feel it's not honest with the users, because probably they're then hiding something, because you can't really do that in relational databases. They're hiding something in the implementation from you, and therefore you're not getting a straightforward representation of the database structure in your user interface. Or they're doing something where you have JSON fields where you can have multiple values, but again, it's just not considered best practice in databases. Okay, anyways, I've ranted for too long. Let's do it. Let's just see, let's say I have these books and now I want multiple files. Maybe it's different cover suggestions. Let's say you have some graphical designers who are suggesting covers for books. Cover suggestions. Okay. And then you gotta have a key to your book, right? Key to books. Okay, and then you have to file. And now this is where something. No, it's best not to call it file. It's best to give it a distinctive name. So let's call it cover. And file is a file. There we go. Okay, so that will contain the file. Now, what Yisrael is asking for here is he wants the data to be deleted when, somehow there has to be some way of deleting it, and also there has to delete both the row in the database and the file. And that you set with this setting. So what happens here is that if this row is deleted and it contains a field that is pointing to a file, and you need to and you delete that row, then the file that is being pointed to will be deleted as well. So that's kind of like the cascade in foreign keys, and it's cascading the file deletion. Okay. So that's one part of it. And then, you know, look, if you want, let's say we have this, let's say we have our list here that I showed you before. So now you can do different things, right? So let's go back to, so now we want somehow to link to those. So let's first of all create some, create basic views. And what does this look like? Okay, let me just add one. So we're doing a cover suggestion. And now I have to find a file. Oh, let's do one of the Halloween ones. This is almost topical. All right, so you've got a suggestion, but let's do another one. So you have two, and it's for the same book. And you know, here's an alternative cover for Herman Melville's book. And now when I am in, if you somehow you have to link it now, right? So if I'm now, thanks, we have another question. Sadly, the answer is no. I'll get to that in a second. And now, okay, so let's say, you know, you can do different things here. You can just go like, unfortunately, this doesn't work very well in dark mode. I need to fix that. What was it called? Cover suggestion. List cover suggestions. And so now you can see here. Which one is, yeah, there we go. Right, so then we've got the books here. And now, you know, if you delete one of these, then that will cascade onto the file. So. Okay, so that answers that. Let me go to the question from Jose. Is it possible to stop a trigger while it is running? No, we don't really have a way of doing that. You know, I'd be interested in if people have ideas for what you know what that would look like, then please let me know. I mean, you can write something in a workflow that makes it terminate under certain conditions. Let's just see here. Let's go back to the other one that we had here. That was the one we built. You can do stuff like, so what do you do? If you do the action is stop, I think. Terminate workflow. Yeah, that'll stop, and then you can do only if. Now you can do like not get body, right? This is what we had before. We have this get body, and now it will terminate if that's. So it's kind of like an error handling, right? So this will, if this was essentially, you know, if whatever, if that's blank, right? The result of this request, if that's blank, then you can terminate the workflow. So you can do it from inside a workflow. Okay, so actually now that you're mentioning it, I said, you know, if you had any ideas about how to do it, I guess we could do it here, right? So sometimes here we have, yeah, so there is no possibility here. You can delete it here, but I don't know. Oh, sorry. Terrible. Wasn't showing. Terrible. Okay, so here what I did was I just inserted another step here, right? And this is where I was saying, you have a conditional here, and then you do action terminate workflow. So I said I didn't really know how to stop it. We could have a button here that says stop. That could be one possibility, but that's only accessible to the administrator. I don't know how else we could do it, but maybe I'll have a think about that. We have had, usually what I do is I just restart the whole process, and that is a bit of a pain. And it would be nice to be able to do this, especially with workflows, and it wouldn't necessarily be so hard. So I think it's a good suggestion that we need some way of being able to stop workflows and manipulate the state here, essentially, to put them to the finished state. So yeah, I think that's gonna have to be, for another, we should do something about that. But you can't, there's nothing right now for stopping workflows that are running. And for scripts, it would just be a little bit harder. I'll have to think about, and also for workflows, it'll only be in between steps that they would stop. But I don't know how we would do that. Okay, so let me think about that. A very good suggestion, I think. Let me see. So Yisrael had 4 questions. Let me see which one. They're interesting questions. Okay, let me do the last one here. Using show with HTML with an aggregation field to display an icon if the value is greater than 0. So we can actually go back now to the one we just built. And let's try and build something like this. So what he wants is an icon that shows... Let's what we're going to try and do is, because we can have... What we're going to try and do is create a little icon that shows if there are cover suggestions. Okay, if there are any at all. If there are 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter. But if there are more than 0, we're going to do it. So let's just put a little aggregation on it here. Cover suggestion count ID. So here we see, yeah, I deleted one, so there's only one. Okay, so we want another column that shows an icon if it's, and it shows nothing. Let's do this. Can I do this? So first, show with HTML. First, I want to see what type of thing I have here. So what I often do is I have these two open side by side. Oh, you can't see what you can't see. I'm not just focusing too much on myself. I'm like irrelevant. See my screen instead. Okay, so here we go. So let's try and run that. So okay, we have that, but now I want to see what's the type of this. Type of, because I have a feeling that it's a string. Okay, so it's actually a number. That's good. So now I can just say, let's start by doing some stuff here. Ah, I see. I remember now. There's going to be a problem here, but it's okay. We'll fix it. No. Yes. Okay, that's good. Now, I want an icon. Okay, well, actually, you can use the cheetah's icon, and that's called Unicode. So what do we say, like, what do we want? This is a cover. Yisrael just said an icon. So he didn't say what kind of icon. So now let's find an icon. Unicode icon for, what should we do? Ghost? Pumpkin. Yeah, why not? Okay. So then you just, so all I did was I just literally like copied here and press Control C, and then, oh, sorry, no, you can't see me again. And I pasted it in here, right? So that's, you just paste on your thing. And then we didn't want no, we just want blank here. Okay, so there you go. So that's one way of having an icon. Now there's a little bit of a subtlety, so let's try and do a font awesome, because then if we do a font awesome icon, then I'll show you that there's a subtlety in this. So font awesome is this tool where, you know, this icon tool set. So let's see, what can we get here? Do they have a ghost? Yeah, let's do their ghost. What should we do? Like skeleton. Let's go with skeleton. Let's do a skull. Okay, there we go. Now we've got a skull. Okay, so now, in principle, I could do this. Wowie, it's one of these. In principle, I could just do this. And in many places, oops, gotta watch out for these quotes. Many places you can just paste this in, but it's not going to work here because there's a layer of protection inside. So yeah, so it's being escaped essentially, because the reason is that this, whatever is in these quotes, often comes from fields, right? And so there's a level of protection. So you don't want this is like a security check. So you don't want that to you don't want data to go straight from data that's supplied by the user to other users' screens, because that becomes a security vulnerability. It's cross-site scripting or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. XSS. But what you can do here is, if you put an exclamation mark here, I think this is going to work. Yeah, if you put an exclamation mark here, then you are essentially saying it's okay. Like I don't want escaping. Just, I think the skull, that looks a little bit too much like death for me. But I don't have skull and crossbones. That's better. I like that. Okay, so there you go. Right. So now we've got an icon here. Okay, that's it. Been an hour now. Should I put the spooky music? No, it's too much work to put the spooky music back on. I'm just going to leave you because I am going to go and celebrate Halloween with everybody else, and laugh at some of the trick-and-treaters that are coming to our house. And I wish you a happy Halloween. And I will do this not in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks I'm away, just for like the Friday. But so if there are earth-shattering breaking news, then I can do it next week, or it will be in 3 weeks. Okay, great. Have a good Halloween, and see you next time.